Johnny Carson once joked about using the same lines again and again, but behind the humor, he carried a private list of what he called Hollywood's greatest illusions, marriages that looked perfect on magazine covers but were nothing more than carefully staged productions. After the cameras stopped rolling, Carson became startlingly honest with close friends. He described these unions as scripted romances designed to protect careers, shape public perception, and hide personal truths the studios believed audiences could never accept. In the golden age of Hollywood, stars didn't control their own lives, studios did. Executives dictated their relationships, their families, even their behavior behind closed doors. And nothing sold movies like a good love story. If a star's real life threatened the image the studio needed, a marriage was arranged, and photographs did the rest. Behind all the glamour was a cost few people understood. Real emotions were sacrificed, honest relationships abandoned, and careers intertwined with lies that lasted until death. Carson often described these actors as prisoners in gilded cages, smiling for fan magazines while living separate, secret lives once the doors closed. Rock Hudson was a prime example. America saw him as the ultimate man's man, handsome, strong, irresistible, but Hollywood's favorite leading man was hiding the truth about his sexuality. And when rumors got too loud, his agent arranged a marriage with Phyllis Gates, who was conveniently working in the same office. Whether she knew the truth remains disputed. Some believe she was a willing participant in a career-saving performance. Others said she was a genuine romantic who never realized the marriage was a facade. The divorce papers said mental cruelty, a vague phrase meant to maintain the illusion while protecting Hudson's image. Carson later remarked that the marriage was nothing more than a press release dressed in a tuxedo. Vincente Minnelli and Judy Garland lived in a similar web of illusion. Minnelli, brilliant but rumored to be gay or bisexual, offered Garland stability at a time when her addictions were spiraling. The marriage protected him from rumors and gave the studio hope that Garland might regain control of her life. They genuinely cared for each other, but Garland's struggles destroyed the fragile balance. Their daughter Lisa would later repeat the pattern by unknowingly marrying a gay man herself. Proof, Carson said, that these studio-created cycles echoed long after the contracts ended. Cary Grant's marriage to Diane Cannon was another performance the public accepted as pure romance. Behind the charm and elegance, Grant was haunted by long-standing suspicions about his personal life, especially his deep bond with fellow actor Randolph Scott. Carson believed Grant's marriages were timed specifically to silence rumors and maintain his carefully crafted persona. Cannon, much younger and genuinely in love, found herself entangled in a relationship filled with control, emotional distance, and Grant's experiments with LSD. Their split was bitter, and Carson later said Grant had blurred the line between who he was and the character the world expected him to be. Ava Gardner and Mickey Rooney were marketed as a dream pairing, Hollywood's top male star and its most striking newcomer. But Gardner later said she spent her short marriage watching Rooney cheat nonstop. The union had been engineered to clean up Rooney's image, not to make him a better man. Carson summed it up by saying they looked like two stars from completely different movies. Even the less glamorous couples weren't spared the smoke and mirrors. Bea Benaderet and Jim Bannon lived almost like roommates who shared a last name for publicity. They raised children and maintained a public image while living private lives that barely intersected. Carson said their relationship wasn't a marriage so much as an agreement between professionals who needed each other's stability. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor were perhaps the clearest example of a studio-crafted union. Rumors about Taylor's sexuality had grown too loud, so MGM made it clear he needed a wife, and quickly. Stanwyck also benefited, as being married to the handsome leading man reinforced her marketability. They performed publicly like a couple deeply in love and privately like two co-workers sharing a contract. Carson once joked that they kissed on red carpets and shook hands at home. Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh were Hollywood's golden couple, stunning and successful. Studios loved them, America adored them, but behind the photoshoots and interviews, their relationship was strained by Curtis's serial infidelity. Leigh, who genuinely tried to build a home, slowly realized she was living inside a fabricated story the studio had written for them. Carson said, America bought the illusion, but Leigh ended up carrying the heartbreak. Loretta Young's marriage to Tom Lewis wasn't just a publicity plant, it was a massive cover-up. After becoming pregnant during an affair with Clark Gable, Young hid the pregnancy, arranged for her own daughter to be adopted, and later constructed a marriage to repair her image. Lewis played his role, but the relationship was cold and controlled. Young never admitted the truth in her lifetime. Carson once said the greatest acting she ever did was pretending she had nothing to hide. Henry Fonda's marriage to Susan Blanchard was arranged to heal the damage from a messy divorce that had made him look unstable and depressed. Blanchard, barely older than his children, offered the optics of a fresh start, but the marriage had no real foundation and quietly ended once it had served its purpose. Joan Crawford and Francho Tone might have been the most tragic of all. Tone fell deeply in love with Crawford, but she married him for his refinement, education, and social connections qualities she longed to add to her own reputation. Once she had gained the social footing she wanted, she lost interest in him entirely. Tone was left emotionally crushed, turning increasingly to alcohol. Carson said, Tone gave Crawford prestige, and she gave him heartbreak. These marriages weren't just publicity stunts, they were human lives shaped, distorted, and sometimes broken by a system that valued image over truth. The spouses who entered these unions without knowing the truth paid a steep emotional price. Children raised inside these artificial stories sensed the tension and secrets long before they understood their origins. And the stars themselves often spent their entire lives performing roles even when no cameras were around. In the end, the golden age of Hollywood wasn't golden for the people living inside it. It was a world where love was negotiated, families were constructed like movie sets, and authenticity was sacrificed so the illusion could shine.